Today we're going to be reacting to this video, Poland Changed How I Saw Europe by my cousin. I'm just kidding, we're not related.
So I traveled to Poland a couple of weeks ago. It was my first time in any Central/Eastern European country, and it completely changed the way I saw Europe. Growing up in Asia and the US, I was always fed the idea that Western Europe was the peak of all civilization. But after 3 years of seeing what life is really like across Western Europe, I can only say that, at least for me, Poland lives up to those expectations way more than any Western European country has.
Yes,
Maybe
I agree.
with the exception of the Netherlands and Switzerland. So the first place I visited in Poland was this city called Łódź. I took a Flixbus straight from the airport in Warsaw, and I arrived at night at Łódź Fabryczna, which is the city's main train and bus station. I had such a big culture shock that very first night in Poland.
I guarantee he got invited here by a woman, bro. I don't know if he's gonna say it, but I'm pretty sure a girl invited him to come and visit. And it's our kryptonite because like Polish girls really like Asian guys here. I'm almost 100% certain that he got invited by a girl.
Because as I was walking out of there, I saw women and even young girls hanging around the station by themselves. In most Western European countries, that would be unthinkable. Because every major train station is always swarmed by questionable characters and people with bad intentions, especially at night. And if you're not familiar, Łódź isn't just some small town. It's literally the third largest city in Poland. So it definitely says something that a city this size can still feel so peaceful and safe.
That's one of the best things I think about Poland in general. And I really have to give it to this country that they've really gotten safety down. And there are a lot of reasons for that. You know, I think one of them is the fact that they're homogenous, the fact that they're kind of racist, you know, like a lot of people have a problem with that. But I think that's one of the reasons that Poland is so safe, to be honest. So call me whatever you want, but I think that's true.
Now, if you're Polish, at this point, you might be asking the question, why were you in Łódź? And the answer is, I was just visiting a friend who lives there. There we go. The worst things I saw during...
It's a girl. I guarantee it was a girl, bro.
My time in Łódź were some drunk people yelling on the streets and one homeless guy who came up to me begging for money. But they were all harmless, and the homeless guy was actually really respectful to me too, which was really refreshing because I'm used to them being aggressive or drugged up, you know, coming from places like New York, Lyon, and Brussels. Overall, I could see in just one day how much people in Poland respect rules and authority. Like, people will wait for the light to turn green before crossing an empty street. Besides Łódź, I also visited Krakow and Warsaw during my time in Poland. And the one constant throughout the entire trip was that I never had to keep my guard up. That's actually one of the reasons why I found Krakow to be way more romantic than Paris, for example. There were people playing accordions everywhere for some reason. People of all ages were just letting loose and dancing in the town square every night. But what matters most is that it's just so much easier to have a romantic moment when you don't have to worry about people with bad intentions.
What did I say? It was because of a girl. He became here because of a girl. No shade to him at all, though. Like, the Polish girls are great, so I can understand why he came.
I didn't like how often I was approached during the day by teenagers asking for donations for sick children. Looking back, that was obviously a scam. Same thing at night when I'd get approached by at least 3 strip club promoters every night on my way back to my hostel. But that's literally as bad as it gets. By the way, don't go to any strip club in Poland. You will get drugged and you will get ripped off or robbed. But just keep in mind that people have died in those places.
Is that true? I don't know if that's true. Let me see if... Okay, so I guess there have been a couple of instances like this. I didn't know that. I went to one strip club once when I was in New Orleans for spring break, but we went during the day, and it was like the saddest thing that I've ever saw in my life. So after that, I'm like, okay, I don't really like going to strip clubs. But what he's talking about, like getting drugged and stuff like that, these are things that actually happen in Colombia. In Colombia, it's way worse. So I think he's kind of maybe taking it out of proportion here because I don't think it's that big of a deal. I still wouldn't recommend going to those strip clubs either, but I don't think it's as bad as he's saying it is.
The point I'm trying to make here is that I always felt really safe no matter where I went in Poland, even at night. And it's such a nice change of pace as someone who's lived in France and Belgium, because those are the two most dangerous countries in the EU when it comes to street crime. Apparently, it's just as safe or almost as safe in other countries across Central/Eastern Europe. So I can't wait to explore more of that region. Another thing that I was obsessed with in Poland was how nice everybody was. I always had this impression that people from...
They're nice, to Asian people. So they're not always nice to everybody, if I'm being honest, right? But it also depends on the city. If they're in the more touristy city, then yeah, they'll just treat you like a tourist. But in general, the responses will vary. So
Slavic countries were always kind of mean, grumpy, and jaded. But my experience in Poland completely destroyed that idea. People working in cafes, restaurants, milk bars, Uber drivers, tour guides, hostel receptionists, museum staff. Didn't matter if they were male or female, young or old.
told you, it was a
Everyone
girl.
was just extremely pleasant and smiley with me. At first I thought there had to be a catch to this. Like they must be doing this because they see I'm a tourist and they want me to tip them. But not once did they ever hint at or expect anything like that. 90% of them spoke really good English too. Like, no one ever made me feel guilty for not speaking Polish, even though I did learn a few phrases before going, like, cześć, przepraszam, nie mówię po polsku, and dziękuję, because it's always
Very
good to
good.
do that as a sign of
Impressive.
respect. Even though a lot of the Poles I met told me about how conservative and judgmental the culture actually is, for me, being in Poland still felt way less suffocating than being in France, for example. I'm not trying to trash on France.
But he's only really talking about the tourist aspects, right? Because even in Krakow or Warsaw, like here in Warsaw, I don't live in the center anymore. I live in Praga. Here in Praga, people barely speak English. It's only in certain concentrated areas where everybody speaks English and they treat you very, very nicely. But the stereotype for Polish people being rude, very direct, I think that is totally justified. And you'll see it a lot more when you step outside of the tourist areas.
Or anything. But since that's where I'm based in Europe, I really can't help but look at other European countries through that lens.
Of course.
I thought I'd
Yeah.
get stared at a lot in Poland for being Asian, but that never really happened much, and even when it did, it didn't feel overbearing or hostile like it sometimes does in France. Most of the younger Poles I met were actually very curious about me. Like they'd strike up conversations with me, they'd ask me about my life story, where I was from, what I thought about Poland.
Polish people have a lot of curiosity for the Far East Asian countries. So Japan, Korea, and China specifically. Him and me, right? We're Asian, but we're from Western countries. I think he's like Malaysian American or something like that. They don't assume that we're from America first when they see us. They assume we're from the motherland. So if they see any Asian, they're gonna ask us, what are we doing here? And they're very curious about our culture. I totally agree with that statement because the same has happened to me.
The food, best places to go. I just felt really welcome. Now, the last thing that really shocked me was how advanced Poland is in terms of digitalization.
Yes,
There's this
totally.
app called M-Obywatel that every Polish person uses for almost every official document or service that you can think of. You can present a digital ID to identify yourself in any situation, even when it comes to voting at polling stations. If you're a student, you can also add your student ID in there. Everything that has to do with cars, like your driver's license and your vehicle's registration and insurance, they can all be accessed through this app. You can use it to access digital prescriptions from your doctor, pay fines, block your social security number in case of fraud, which is amazing.
Yeah, and this is one of the good things about Poland right now. Poland is developing quite quickly, but specifically they have a lot of tech talent. And what's interesting is that tech here is not limited to just the men. Both men and the women are all getting into STEM fields. Slavic people in general are just extremely intelligent. Everybody here speaks at least 3 languages, if not more. And that's one of the things culturally that Polish people and Asian people we get along with. Intelligence and education is very valued here in this country, and so is hard work. So it's not a surprise that Poland is developing super quickly because they have so much tech talent here.
Then there's also this mobile payment system called Blik that everyone in Poland uses to send money and pay for stuff. If you're American, it's kind of similar to Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle,
Venmo,
except that it's already built into every Polish bank's app. So literally all you need to send someone money is their phone number.
You don't even need their phone number. They give you like a 6-digit code and anybody can input that code and withdraw and give money. It's actually quite a good system now that I think about it.
You can also use it to buy stuff in stores and online too, without ever pulling out your card. Even an app to buy tickets for public transport. It's called Yakdoyad, and you can use it to validate your tickets with a QR code wherever you go. You don't have to hunt down a machine to buy tickets or recharge your physical card. This makes me feel embarrassed as a New Yorker. Because the MTA just finished rolling out Omni, which is a system that lets customers scan to enter the subway, like it's 2025, and they just finished doing this. And keep in mind that New York.
Yeah, another thing that I also admire about this country is that they are quite good when it comes to construction and getting things done on time. The speed at which Poland is able to develop their infrastructure is extremely impressive. I live next to a building right now that's under construction. So every single day, a construction crew, they come and they're building this building. The speed at which they've been able to complete this is very, very impressive. And sure, every country has their form of corruption or whatever, but from what I've seen, the public infrastructure here in Poland is done pretty well at a very reasonable time span. You know, coming from LA, we have all this money and we're taxing our citizens so much, but it feels like any advancement to public infrastructure or transportation takes so long. It's super, super slow. And there's a lot of corruption there, but Poland seems to be doing a very, very good job with that.
So my Polish friend Alexa here asked me to name an American technology that Poland doesn't have. So I said Amazon Go. Turns out they have that too.
They do.
It's called Żabka Nano, and she's going to show us how it works right here.
It's a very small store. The regular Żabka store is way bigger than this, but also not like super big. It's like a regular 7-Eleven. Yeah, there are a lot of cameras here. Yeah. You know, following our
cameras up here.
Exactly. Every step is tracked, and I'm gonna get a receipt here. And yeah, I already have my card here. Yeah.
Got the store, everything's paid for.
Exactly.
It's like Asia.
So many foundational aspects of daily life are digitalized in Poland. Like, technology there just makes so much sense, and it actually helps make everything run so smoothly. I'm trying really hard not to sound disrespectful when I say this, but it's just all the more surprising when all I pictured of Poland before was just depressing gray concrete Soviet blocks in a country that's still trying to catch up after falling so far behind during the Soviet era. Granted, the entire country still only has a grand total of 2 metro lines, both of them in Warsaw, so I guess it all balances out in the end.
But they are making a metro in Krakow, I believe, at the moment. And it's funny what he was saying about his image of Poland before he came here, because I thought the exact same thing, actually. I was actually very ignorant of this place before I came here. I thought Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, they were all kind of the same. Please don't kill me. I know better now. But from the West, we don't really hear that much about Poland. I think Poland now is getting a lot of hype. Before, we knew nothing about this place. So it was also quite a big shock to me.
After seeing how much more advanced Poland is in so many ways, I just can't help but look at the United States and most of the major Western European countries and wonder, why are we so far behind in all the ways that matter when we're supposed to be the leading examples of civilization?
I totally agree with what he's saying. They have things that they need to improve on for sure. For example, I think one of the major issues here is the water quality. The water quality here sucks. The water quality in Ukraine next door is much better. The water quality in Vienna and Austria is really good. But the tap water here is very hard. There's a lot of calcium in it. And because of that, it's very hard to drink. And I think it causes the population to age very quickly. It makes your hair fall out a lot quicker. I even noticed since I came to this country. And I think it's really, really taxing on the skin. So that's one of the big things that they have to fix. But in general, the important stuff, for example, safety, convenience when it comes to żabkas and being able to buy what you need. Their InPost system, like delivery system, is also quite good here. I think it's a very good place to raise a family. Cost of living is still quite reasonable, even though things are getting a lot more expensive now. Culturally, I connect really well here as an Asian American. It's the same thing is happening to him because he's also Asian American, right? I highly recommend you guys watch this video next. Amazing video. I highly recommend more people come and visit Poland because you guys are going to be very surprised by how the country looks now.